Welcome back to another video. So the topic for today's video is Streamlights. Now, I've been using Streamlights for the past few years, and I just want to talk about how I've evolved from something like the Polytac to one of Streamlight's newest lights, the Streamlight Protac HLX, and it's the USB rechargeable version. Now, just a brief disclaimer, Streamlight did send this out to us to try out and test and share with you guys, so we are appreciative of them for doing that for us, and we'll give you the full rundown of what we think. Now, short-term synopsis is I've never had any issue with any of my Streamlights, and I've been using this one at least for quite a number of years. I have another one, the Streamlight Protac HL. I've been using that as a weapon light, no issues with that, and I've been testing this out for the past few months, and I've had no issues with it either. Now, this will ultimately become a weapon light, and if we run into any issues with any of these lights, you guys will be the first to know. So, when I was looking for a good brand to choose for flashlights, I was doing so on a limited budget, and I didn't have the money to spend on Surefires or LZs. So Streamlight is an obvious brand that came up to mind. They can really do. They have the vast capabilities. They really have the capabilities that many of these other top tier lights have without asking you to pay their top price. So you're really getting a lot of quality for not a lot of money at that price point. And then below Streamlights, you have other brands, and I don't like classifying brands and different things like that, so I'm not going to go there. But needless to say, if you choose something like a Streamlight, 99.9% of people who have Streamlights have only positive things to say for them, and they emerged as like a not so well-known brand probably 10, 15 years ago into really like a powerhouse flashlight brand right now, and they're really setting the market on fire in terms of what they've been putting out there the last few months, if you've seen what they've come out with SHOT Show and things like that. So I'm just going to scroll through their website, and you guys can just quickly see, just for a few seconds, what they have out there. And ultimately, I chose the Protac HLX, and I requested it because I think it's the rechargeables ultimately are the next generation in terms of flashlights, and specifically when you have something like CR123As that quickly become expensive to replace, having a rechargeable is definitely a very good thing. Now, even though the vast majority of lights out there are still CR123s, I suspect many of them will be slowly transitioning to rechargeable, such as this one, which has the 18650 battery. And by the way, this can also accept the CR123s, so you're not out of luck if you still have some of these lying around. So just to go over briefly what I've been using my Streamlights for, this originally was a weapon light, and if you saw my previous video on my channel, you saw that it was originally mounted to a Maverick 88. Since then it's been taken down, and for the past year and a half or so, it's been riding around as a vehicle EDC light, and it's been performing perfectly fine for whatever I've had to use it for, primarily to just see things in the dark and walk my way to a parking lot. The next light is that we have here, like I said before, is a Streamlight HLX, and I've been just testing that light out for the past few months, and just carrying it around and trying to use it in whatever situations I would use a handheld light in, and just comparing it to the Polytac. And we're going to run some footage later on in the video where you'll see some beam comparisons. Third light, which I don't have here, but I am going to roll on some B-roll footage right after this, after I'm done talking, is the Streamlight Protac HL. It's a 750 lumen light, and it's my primary weapon light right now. And it's this basis that forms the rail mount, the Protac rail mount 1, the Protac rail mount 2. It's that kind of a light body, and very similar again to the HLX USB. It runs on CR123s, and it's been performing perfectly fine in its role as a rugged weapon light attached to the Maverick 88. And Streamlight's new products are also out, like you guys just saw, where they're trying to really incorporate the HLX and the rechargeables into the rail mount platform as well through the rail mounted HLX. So I'm just going to show you guys some brief footage of the Protac HL on the OLED ZSM mount attached to the Maverick 88. So some of you have seen that Maverick 88 and setup, and as well as the Streamlight Protac HL. Originally, the Polytac was on there, and ultimately I opted for something more rugged for weapon light use, and came the Streamlight Protac HL. So ultimately, the kind of flashlight you're going to choose is just going to be dependent on what your application is, what your budget is, and what you're looking to get out of it. If you're going camping, a simple flashlight from Amazon might do. But if you're looking for something that you can EDC or keep in a car and use as a weapon light, a self-defense application, rescue application, law enforcement, military, whatever have you, ultimately you want to choose a light that's dependable, solid, and has the required output of whatever you need to perform your task. So in my experience, I've been using this Polytac ever since it came off the shotgun. It's been riding in the car as part of an EDC kit, and you may have seen that video in previously in my channel. And I'll try to leave a link below to that. The Protac now here has been carried in a school bag for the last few months, and ultimately is going to become a weapon light as well. So if that's something you're interested in, tag along for the upcoming video where we put this in an LZ mount. So the Polytac is, as the name implies, poly, meaning polymer. It features a polymer body on the outside, has a nice grippy texture, if you can see over here. And this reminds me of the Smith & Wesson MMP 2.0's, kind of a nice grippy feel to prevent the body of the flashlight from slipping, even in wet or any type of adverse conditions. And it features the 10-tap programming, which allows you to choose either high, strobe, and low. That's the factory default. And I'll just demonstrate that real quick. High, strobe, and low. Or you can have high only, or low, medium, and high. And your high is going to be 600 lumens, and you'll have a runtime of around 2.75 hours. Your medium will be 260 lumens, and you're going to have a runtime of 5.5 hours. And your low is going to be only 35 lumens with a runtime of 34 hours. Now, it's waterproof, it's impact resistant, it's also has this pretty tough body on the outside. I mean, aside from minor scuffs, I don't even know if the camera will pick it up here. I've never run into any, nothing's broken on me at all. The tail cap still has that positive click. It's powered by 2 CR123 batteries, which came included. It came with a belt sheath as well, and it's 5.34 inches long. It's 4.2 ounces with the batteries, and it comes in a bunch of different colors. I'm just going to compare it with the Protac so you can get a sense of the overall length. And I'm just going to roll in some footage of the Polytac on the high setting outdoors. The Protac is a little bit of a more rugged option for your professional or duty or home defense, or just in general more of an adverse condition type flashlight that you might want to use for more rugged scenarios. And it came with a pocket clip as well. I just removed that because ultimately this is going to be mounted on an LZ mount, and similar to this, the pocket clip orientation allows you to clip it onto a hat as like a mini improvised headlamp. They both feature O-rings by the side of the tail cap, and I'll show that to you in a second. And they both have anti-roll built into the bezel. Now, this is the HLX USB Protac, which means it's a 1000 lumen light that uses rechargeable 18650 batteries or 2 CR123 batteries. Now, this is the rechargeable 18650 battery. When you plug it in with the included cable, you'll see a red dot until it's done charging, at which point you'll see a green dot. It takes around 5 hours to fully charge. Because I've been charging this up to full capacity, I've had CR123s inside, which I'll remove now. And as you can tell, we have a nice red O-ring to keep the water and moisture out. These are our 2 Surefire 123s that we'll set aside. Your battery will go in as such. and you'll replace the tail cap. Now I did speak with Streamlight, and their customer service did say, their technical support I should say, the guy Rob, his name is, he said how the 18650 will last longer than the CR123s. The benefit of the CR123s is that they have a longer shelf life, and therefore I'm going to choose to keep the 18650s in here. It'll maintain power longer, and its self-discharge rate is less than the CR123As, but I'll have CR123As on hand because when it's time to change out the batteries, I don't want to waste 5 hours recharging it. You also get a 10-tap programming with the Protac, and it lets you do a high strobe low, a high only, or a low medium high. And your high is going to be 1000 lumens for 1.25 hours. Medium is going to be 400 lumens for a runtime of 3 hours. And your low is going to be 65 lumens for a runtime of 20 hours. And I gave you numbers with the CR123A batteries, and it's going to be slightly longer with the 18650 rechargeables. Now, this is pretty durable. It's made of a anodized aluminum construction, which protects it against any type of corrosion and rust. And aside from maybe some minor scuffs, there's really nothing wrong with it. It's been dropped, it's been carried pretty roughly, and there's no issues with it whatsoever. So definitely a more rugged option if that's what something you need or you're looking for. But I would know that it's a little harder, a little colder to handle in the colder weather. It's cold to the touch, and for something like carrying every day, even though this is a little bit big, I would prefer more of a polymer style light. It's 5.43 inches long, it's 5.7 ounces with the batteries of CR123 and 6.2 ounces with the 18650. So not the lightest light compared to something like the Polytac, but still, I don't think it's that heavy at all. And I'm just going to roll in some footage of the Protac low at the low beam. So the next beam you're going to see is the Protac on the medium level, and that's 400 lumens. And the final beam you're going to see is the Protac's high beam, and that's the 1000 lumens. So now that you've seen the Polytac's beam and the Protac's beams, I'm going to run some footage between the Protac at the high lumen setting, the 1000 lumen, and the Polytac as well on its high lumen setting of 600 lumen. And what you're going to see is that the Protac has more of a yellowish color, has greater spill, better penetration into whatever you're looking at, more of a hot spot in the center, and in my opinion, is leaps and bounds beyond anything I've ever seen in terms of the understanding of what I'm looking at and the ability to really discern and get a better view, at least I'm receiving more information about what I'm looking at when I'm using something like a Protac. So for a defensive or tactical use or rescue use, anything like that, where there's that possibility where you're going to have to see things at distance, the Protac is definitely the superior choice. The Polytac has more of a whitish hue, less spill, not as big of a hot spot, but still gives you a good understanding of what you're looking at. And for whatever I've had to use it for, that said, I've never had any problem with it. And for what I've ever had to use it for, it's been the perfect, or a great amount of light for my purposes in terms of just being an everyday civilian needing to use a flashlight to see things in the dark, just to walk my way to a parking lot, etc. So stand by for some footage between the Protac and the Polytac. So ultimately, the light you're going to choose is going to be dictated by your budget, the kind of light output you're looking for, and your applications. Between both of these lights, in terms of reliability and ruggedness, you're not going to have an issue at all, at least from my experience. All the Streamlights I've used have never failed me at all, and they have a pretty good reputation out there on the internet. If you don't believe me, go check anybody else that's more serious people, more qualified than I to talk about this, kind of attest to their reliability and their performance. For me, this works best as a vehicle EDC light, and this will ultimately transition to a weapon light in the future videos. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely subscribe and tag along as we do that. I am going to put some resources below to hopefully help you, guide you onto the journey of understanding what light can do for you, what the amount of lumens can do for you. There's a lot of good training out there and a lot of good videos out there. So you, from the comfort of your living room or your basement, you can hop onto a few YouTube channels that will help you understand what exactly is light's discipline in terms of a tactical use, because that's primarily what I'm interested in. And then also just in general, just something that you could teach your family members, how to employ light effectively, what kind of lights are you looking for, and you'll come away with the understanding that you want to stay away from cheap lights and you want to really gravitate to lights which you know won't fail you. Specifically, one YouTube channel that I can recommend is Sage Dynamics YouTube channel, and over there the instructor Andrew Cohen does a great job in his low light series, explaining in just a unarmed and armed perspective what light, how to employ light effectively and how to hold it, what type of lights are good. He's definitely a Streamlight fan as well, and that's something that I think translates very well to the civilian context for people like me. So that's where I'm going to leave it at. And if you guys have any questions at all, reach out. Even though I'm a big fan of Streamlight, I'm not pushing their brand as opposed to anything else. This is just a brand that I've had really good luck with. And if there's another brand that works for you, by all means, go ahead and use it and enjoy it. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. Thanks for watching, and see you guys all in the next video.